Topaz Mask AI. So what I wanted to do was replace the sky in this image, and also I wanted to replace the water as well. Okay, because the sky will get reflected in the water, and this is a pretty still piece of water here. So I want to show you how we can do that very easily, pretty much so, in Topaz Mask AI. Now, this is the original, and we're going to turn it into this image right here. So, without any further ado, let's get masking. We are working from Photoshop today, but I want to show you what I have here. Here's the original image right here. And I went ahead and duplicated it and bumped it up to the top of the stack here. Now, I'm going to shut this layer off. And here's the sky I'm going to replace it with. Today's tutorial is mainly about replacing the sky and the water, not so much, getting that perfect composite where all the colors and everything match up. It's going to look pretty good. I chose a sky that would kind of work out well. I'll do another video where I show you how that you can make sure that the image looks convincing. Make sure your colors and your luminosity values and everything are correct. Okay. But what I did here was to get the sky positioned, I simply pulled the opacity down and, used the move tool and placed the sky where I needed to go. And I also transformed it to get it to fit properly as well. Just a little background as to how I got to this point right here. I want to give this image a little bit more punch, and a great Topaz filter to do that with is Adjust AI. So I'm coming up to Filter, and we're going to go ahead and launch Topaz Adjust AI. And we're just going to click on, there's two modes in here, Standard and HDR style. I'm just going to click on Standard and see what I get here. Usually one little click and the image looks like fantastic. And already that looks good. And there was some warmth up there in the sky, but I don't care about that because we are going to be replacing that. I might just take my tint and bump it a little bit towards the green side, just a little bit, just to balance this image out. And I think right there, and I think this is going to really match up nicely with the new sky I'm replacing. I'll go ahead and click Apply, and that brings us right back into Photoshop. So we're going to send this image into Topaz Mask AI. Now I set Mask AI up in the preferences to give me a layer mask with a mask on it, and I'll show you how to do that after I launch Mask AI here. And we'll go into the preferences, and I'll show you how that works. Alright, so if you come up here to the Topaz Mask AI, the menu up here, click on Topaz Mask AI, click on Preferences, and now I have mine set up to save to a layer mask, have that checked on. That's important to get the layer mask when it goes back into Photoshop, very important. And also, I also have this set up to auto create layer. Now, I don't really need an auto create layer on this image, but I leave that checked on, okay? And because a lot of times I use Mask AI and I like that auto create layer, so I'm leaving that on. All right, and I'll duplicate the redundant layer once we get back into Photoshop, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to go ahead and click Auto Detect Sky and see what it does here. Does a pretty nice job. It's not perfect, but look at that beautiful line it drew across the horizon here, okay? So what I'm going to do is change my brush to a red brush and just paint out these little spots here that I don't want. And down here, I'm going to get a green keep brush and just paint over these compute areas. Now, Mask AI does work with a tri-map system, red being cut, blue being compute, and green being keep. Now, I'm in the Mask AI mode. I could probably be in the contrast mode here because this is not a real difficult sky to replace, but I'm going to go ahead and click Compute Mask in the AI mode here. And it's pretty quick. And it's almost here. Wait for it. There it is. Now, usually what I like to do is shut off the Show Tri-Map off. Okay, so I can, compare the two images side by side. So this will be the before, and this is with the sky cut out. Now I'm going to zoom in and look at the edges of my mask just to check and see how things are. And everything is looking pretty good. Usually what I like to do though is click on background and click on color, and I like to put a color background behind there just so I can visualize or not visualize, but see what's actually happening. So let me just darken this up a bit so we can see if there's any fringing or anything around it, and then we can go ahead and clean that up. There's a little bit of fringing around it, and what I like to do is zoom in pretty darn close here. And let's see, and I'm going to use my space bar and the hand tool comes up. I'm going to go to the very left here and just examine things. Okay. And I use shortcut keys, Q for the compute brush, W for the keep brush, and E for the erase brush, or the cut brush. So I'm going to pull down the size of my brush here with my left bracket key. And there's a little bit of mess up right here. Not a big deal, but be very observant about your masks. If you want to get good results, you want to clean these little areas up, okay? It's not hard to do. So I'm going to get my cut brush, E key, and just give it a little tap right around here. A little paint, actually. Sometimes you can just give it a little tap. And just like that. And then we'll do some decontamination inside of Photoshop. Okay, good. Coming around here. Things are looking pretty good. There's just a little problem here. So look, I'm just giving a little tap right there. And it cleans it right up. You know, and some people say, well, gosh, it should be better than this. I mean, what do you want? Masking is not easy for any piece of software, Photoshop or anything. Okay, but I'll tell you, Mask AI does a great job. And I really like this new Mask AI with the artificial intelligence built into it. Really helps. See, I'm just, coming through here and just cleaning this up a little bit here. It's really not that hard to do, actually. So I'm just going to paint right in here. Like so. And just take your time and get it right, We have a lot of time right now, right? So we can spend that time we need. And believe me, once I do some defringing, it's going to clean everything up. So I don't really have to be too critical here, to be honest. Oh, look, at missed a little area. Just get the type the W key and just paint right along there, like so. And watch, it'll just fill right in like magic. And there's a little mess up there. I'll get the cut brush here by typing the E key. Okay. I'm not worrying about it being perfect, to be honest with you, because once I use the decontamination tool in Photoshop, things will get really nice. Yep, that looks good. Just these little areas around here. Okay, I'm doing this in real time, so you see exactly how long it takes. Again, little fringing around the edge there. Do not worry about it. We'll fix that in Photoshop. This is the way I like to do it anyway. I mean, you can do it here in Mask AI as well. You can come up to Edge, and there's the decontamination tool inside of there, and I'll show that to you here in a second. But let me just finish coming around the edge here. I'm just tapping this. Hey, I like to be meticulous about my masks. Because you want them to be believable. Like right in here, we'll just give this a little tap. Very good. That's good. Right here, I'll just take that out. Okay. Now let's go ahead and zoom out. Okay, and there's our masking job. Now, if you come up here to Edge, it's called foreground recovery. They don't call it decontamination here, but they just call it foreground recovery. It's basically the same thing. I'm not going to use that, though. I'm going to do that in Photoshop. Okay, so I think I'm ready to go. All you have to do now is click Apply. And you have two choices here, composite or transparent. If you just want a layer mask, choose transparent. And that'll bring you right back into Photoshop. Now, you'll notice that Mask AI provided me with the masks that I made, all right, which is really nice. Now, it did duplicate my background layer, so what I'm going to do is I can just shut this background layer off, and there's my sky replacement. Isn't that cool? And I can also get rid of this layer. I really don't need it, so I'm just going to trash it. Come back up to this layer right here. And when you use the decontamination tool in Photoshop, make sure you have this layer selected. In other words, you don't want to have the mask selected. You want to make sure you click onto the pixel layer itself, okay? And then all you do is you come up here and to layer, And it's the whole way down at the bottom where it says matting, color decontamination. Okay, and so let me see if I can, it's not going to let me zoom in. Let me hit cancel here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It won't let me zoom after I do that. Okay, so now we can look at the edge a little bit better. So now let's come up here to layer and click on matting and color decontaminate. And right there you can see it's fixed. It's like magic, right? So I'll pull this the whole way to the left. See the little bit of fringing, but watch when I start to pull this up. Now you don't want to go crazy and pull it up the whole way. You can, but sometimes you can get not too nice of results when you do that. So, you know, take your time, be observant, okay? And then I have the space bar up here and I can just look around, but you see my edges are perfect. Any of that little bit of fringing has been taken care of. I click OK. Let me zoom back out, and there's my sky replaced. So I'll option click on the original layer. So here's the before and here's the after. Now we're going to add the sky reflection to the water. So pay close attention here. Very important. This is not hard. You may have to go back and watch this video again at this point. So what we need to do is pull this image all together, and that is Shift, Option, Command, or Alt E. That pulls this all together here. And the other thing I need to do is take this sky, and I need to make a copy of it. So hold your Option or Alt key down, click on it, and drag it right under that merged layer right there. Now I'm going to shut these other layers off because we don't need them anymore, so I'm going to shut them off. Now I'm going to come to the top layer, which is the merged layer with our replace sky, and I'll shut this eyeball off, and you'll see you just have the sky layer under it. The next thing we need to do is, and I'm going to leave this layer off, is we need to flip this image vertically because the sky, in order for it to be proper, it would have to be, you know, inverted vertically, and you'll see that here once we're done. But let's go ahead and hit Command or Control T, and that brings up your transform tool, and you see the box here, and just right click in the center of it and click Flip Vertically. Okay, and then you can take this and drag it down to the bottom of your image. I'm just gonna take it right around the center, somewhere around there, and we'll adjust it later, and just type your return key and that accepts it. And now go ahead and turn on layer 1 again, and we're going to use this layer to cut our mask out of the water here. Okay, so what we're going to do is make sure we're on layer 1, come up to filter again, and we're going to launch Mask AI for the second and final time. Now that we're in Mask AI, let's get to work. We can't use any auto select tools here because it's water and they don't have an auto select tool for water. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller, my compute brush. And what I'm going to do is paint around these shadows in the water right here, like so, around the building here, because I want those shadows in, you know, to stay in the original image. I only want the water portions. Well, even though these shadows are in the water, I don't want them. Okay, so I'm just painting around here, and this is pretty easy to do. Just follow me and watch what I'm doing. And do as I do. Okay, just like so. And around here. Around all this little grassy areas around here. Hit that. We can hit that rock right there with that. Come around here. And right around in here as well. Coming down here, and I'm going to just go over some of these rocks here, make my brush a little smaller for this rock here, a little smaller for this little stick. Not that I even need these things in here, but what the heck. Let's go ahead and put them in anyway. So I'm just drawing the compute brush over these rocks here. And now what we need to do is fill the water in with red paint because we want to cut that, right? So, whoops, I want to get the paint bucket and give that a click. And now all we need to do is click, this is going to be a very complicated mask to cut out, so I'm going to click Compute Mask. And again, this is real time, so you see how fast it takes. It's pretty quick, actually. All right, there we go. I'm going to shut off my tri-map. And now we're going to zoom in and really examine things and see what we need to do. Everything is looking really good right around there. And if it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix it. There's a couple little spots I might get, like right out in here. I'm going to get my cut brush, which is E for the cut brush, make this brush a little smaller. And I really probably don't even need to get this. There we go. And missed a little spot there. I'll get my W key for the keep and give that a little tap. And fixes that right up. Isn't that magical? This little area right here it missed. And look at our little grasses around here. Everything looks good over here. Everything looks good in the water. We're going to use that defringing tool as well. And look at my house over here. That looks good. Let's zoom back out. Okay. I'm just going to go for it on this. I think it's going to be good. Now, being that I didn't use a background, when I click apply, it'll just take us right into Photoshop. And there's our mask right there. Now, you may ask yourself, where is my sky, Dave? Well, remember it duplicated this layer here, right? So if I shut this layer off, hey, there's my sky. So let me go ahead and get rid of this layer. I really don't need it. I'm just going to click on delete here after selecting the layer. And let's just zoom in a little bit and take a look at things and see what things look like. Looking pretty good everywhere. There's a little spot here it missed. Now this is why I like working in Photoshop, because watch, I'm going to come right up here to this mask, click on the mask right here, and I need to be painting with black paint. So I'm going to type X to get black paint up here, and I'm just going to paint right. My layer mask is selected here, so I'm going to paint with black paint. And watch, I'm just going to clean that right there. Okay, and then I'm going to look over here. There's a little spot right here. Now I'm going to show you a really nice little trick to get rid of this little area right here. Remember this one. This one's golden. Make sure you're still in your mask, and we're on our paintbrush. So come to the mode up here and change your mode from normal to overlay. All right, and we're still painting with black paint. And in that overlay blend mode, if you paint with black paint, it's going to darken the black areas on your layer mask. And if you're painting with white paint, it's going to lighten areas on your layer mask. Okay, it's going to disregard 50% middle gray. So it's a really powerful way of cleaning up edges of layer masks. Okay, it'll get rid of fringing itself, and it's a technique that I use a lot myself. And I'm just painting along here and just cleaning this up a little bit, and I think we're going to look really good here. And there we go. Okay, so now let's come up to layer again and come down to matting and color decontaminate. Let's click that. I'm going to take this amount and take it the whole way off. Now just watch our edges here. If there's any fringing or anything, there's not really much of anything there, but I'm just going to start to pull this to the right. And you see that any fringing gets cleaned right up. Just like so. Now let's just look around our image. Yeah, everything is looking good. Just going to drag this a little bit further to the right. Yeah, I'm just going to darken that up a little bit more. Right there, and click OK. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. And the only other thing I want to do to make this a little more believable is I think this water needs a slight bit of blur. So let's make sure we're on the sky layer here, which is our reflection in the water. And let's come up to filter, come to our blur filters. I like to use this one filter called box blur. It resembles a camera lens better, out of focus camera lens. So I'm going to click on box blur. And right there you can see at 12 pixels. I think that looks pretty good. Let me move this out of the way. See that? Just that slight blur, because it would not be super sharp in there. So we got to make this look believable. Let's click OK. There's just one last thing, and I told you at the beginning of the tutorial, this tutorial was not about, matching these two images perfectly together. It's more about cutting out the sky and putting a reflection in the water. But this water is bugging me because it should be a little bit darker than the sky. So it's an easy fix. Make sure you're on the sky layer, come to your adjustment layers, and let's just get a brightness contrast adjustment layer here. And when I make the brightness adjustment, it will only affect the layers that are below it, okay? And the top layer is the actual sky replacement, so it's not going to affect that. So it's only going to affect the water. So let's pull the brightness down just a little tiny bit, just to make it look believable. And right there, that's it. Today we replaced the sky and we added the water reflection to mimic the sky. Very important, and I wanted to really show you this today. So this is a more in-depth sky replacement and matching up the water. And Topaz Mask AI is a really great tool for helping you get a super tough job done. Thanks for staying with me till the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe and click that bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it.